So today we are going to talk about um, mostly surface area. We're going to talk about volume next week. And perimeter and area, those should be things that you are already familiar with. So like the area of a rectangle is length times width. Um, we're not going to do much with parallelograms, but a triangle, remember, you take the base, this is the base, times the height. Height is always straight up and down at a 90-degree angle to the top, and then you divide by 2. We won't be doing trapezoids. We will be doing circles. Uh, the area is pi r squared. Circumference is 2 pi r. And then here is the new stuff. And I'm going to focus on surface area. And so to find the surface area of a rectangular prism, here is the formula. To find the surface area of a triangular prism, here is the formula. B is the area of the base. So on a triangular prism, we call the triangle part the base. And the base is going to be the same. That's why we multiply by 2. So we would do 1/2 base times height, multiplied by 2. And then the perimeter of the base, you take this side plus that side plus this side times the height. Cylinder surface area is 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. We have squared pyramids. The formula is a squared plus 2al. So all you need to know is the a, which is the length of one of the sides, and you would also need to know the slant height. The slant height is on the side, thus the other height is straight up and down. You need to use the slant height. When you're using volume, that's when you use the height. Cone, we have the formula here. All you need is the radius and the height and the slant height. Sphere, 4 pi r squared. All you need is the radius. So let's go and do a few examples. So let's go look. If I take a square pyramid, which I have right here, square base pyramid. So here's my square base pyramid. If I were to unfold that, surface area is basically finding the area around the surface. So let's look at what the surface is. The surface contains a square and then 4 triangles. And so that's what we're going to do here is we're going to find the area of the square. And if I look here, the area of the square, so the area of the square would be 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. And then we're going to find the area of the triangle, and notice all 4 triangles are the same. And so to find the area of the triangle, I am going to take the base times the height and divide by 2. Well, 3 times 4 is 12, divided by 2, and this area becomes 6. Well, if that's 6, these are all the same. So the surface area would be 4 times 6, or you could do 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 9. And if you do the math right there, you get 33. So that would be 33, and my units are square units. Anytime we're doing surface area, you need to make sure you put the unit squared. Now, rectangular prism, find the surface area. It'd be the area around the outside of the shape. I like to use nets when I find the area. What I mean by that is it's hard for me to memorize a formula, but it's easier to think. For me, a rectangular prism has 6 sides, 6 faces, and so these are the 6 faces. And let me show you the net of a rectangular prism. Notice Well, I don't see how to fold that up. Normally you can fold those up, but I guess you cannot. Here's all the nets of the cube. Cube and a rectangular prism are very similar. You can see how it folds, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different faces. So here we have front and back. Those are going to be the same. Left and right are going to be the same, top and bottom. And so looking here, I have this front, that's 10 by 10, that's 100. 10 times 10. And you also have the back that's the same. And that's why the formula has a 2, because you're going to have a front and back, left and right, top and bottom. Now from there, we have the right side. We have this side that's 10 by 40. Okay? And it looks based off the picture. Let me see. It really doesn't matter in this case, but 10 by 40, that'd be 40. Okay, you also have the other side over there, which is also 40. You then have the top. And the top is 10 by 40 as well. And 10 by 40, oh, oops. This is 10 by 40, that should actually be 400 over here. 10 times 40 is 400. The top and bottom are also 400. So essentially what I found was the right and left are 400, the top and bottom are 400. Now my surface area, I would just add all those up. And that's 1,800, what's my unit? Centimeters squared. Now we have what's called a triangular prism. And let's see, do I have a triangular prism? Yes, I do. Move the point on the triangle. Okay, it's not letting me do a net. Maybe it will. Either way, a triangular prism is the two triangles and then the left side, right side, and bottom side. So we'll start off with the triangle part. The triangle part, you can see, is 6 by 8. Remember, the area of a triangle is base times height. So if that's 8, this is of course 6 based off the drawing. So 6 times 8 is 48, and then divide that by 2, that's 24. So we got the area of this one's 24. The area of this one is also 24. They are the same. And then in this case, it's not always true, but all three sides of our rectangles, and I could see that this one is 11 by 6. Then you have the bottom that's also 11, 6 by 11. Then you have the right side that looks to be also 6 by 11. So you have three of them all exactly the same. 6 by 11, that's 66. 6 times 11. So if I add up those numbers, I get 246. So the surface area is 246 centimeters squared, square centimeters. I decided to skip this example. It's not drawn correctly. A cube is actually pretty easy. What's nice about a cube is that all of these squares are going to be exactly the same. So once you find the area of one cube, you just multiply it by 6 since they are all the same. And so I could see that this is 7 by 7. So the area of 1 cube is 49. Well, all of them will be 49. So I take 49 times 6, and I get 249 square meters. Okay. Cylinder. I am going to definitely use this net of a cylinder. And I want you to see that we start off with the cylinder. And what happens when I unfold it? We get two circles and a rectangle. Now, area of a circle, we're going to find the area of the circle. We're going to find area of the circle. And then you should know how to find the area of a rectangle. Area of a rectangle is just length times width. So we have area of a circle, pi r squared, area of a circle, pi r squared, and then length times width. Now what makes this tricky is normally they provide the height, but the actual distance around the circle, as you can see, the length from here to here is the distance around the circle. And we call that circumference. And so what happens is they provide the height. This part would be circumference. So you would take the length times the circumference to get the area of the rectangle. And circumference formula is 2 pi r. So that's why the formula here is 2 pi r times h. That's the area of the rectangle. And then pi r squared is the area of the circles. In this case, I honestly think it's easier just to use the formula. So radius is 4. That's my radius. And then my height is 10. And so when I plug in this formula, 2 pi so it'd be 2 times pi times my radius. I'm going to use pi for pi. My radius is 4. My height is 10. I'm going to add on 2 times pi times my radius is 4. And I raise that to the second power. I do all that math, and I will get, let's see, 2 pi, there's a pi button on your calculator, times 4 times 10 plus 2 times pi plus, times 2 times pi times 4 squared. And that's approximately 351.86. And we are not given units. So I'd say units. I would say units squared. I don't have enough room. So we'll just leave it be. Okay, this example is very similar. Shamin bought her best friend a poster. So we see a poster down here, and she wants to wrap it up for her as a surprise. Now she rolls the poster up in a cylinder and has just enough wrapping paper to cover the poster and the ends with no overlap. So if there was overlap, this would make this problem a lot more difficult. So how much wrapping paper does Shamin have given these dimensions? And so this is really just asking about the area around a surface. So that would be surface area. So I am going to take this formula, knowing that in this case, h is 60, my radius is 2. And I'm going to plug in this same exact formula that says you take 2 times pi times your radius, which is 2, times the height, which is 60, and then add on 2 times pi times radius, which is still 2, squared. And I get 2 pi times 2 times 60 plus 2 pi times 2 squared, and I get 779.11 centimeters squared. Square centimeters. It's not letting me put to the second power, so I'll just do that. All right, how much rubber is required to make this ball? Now this is assuming, again, this is about the surface. When you're making a ball, you don't fill the inside with rubber usually. The inside is filled with air. And so you're just wanting the surface area. And to find the surface area, all you need is the radius. Here, they gave me the diameter. So how do you find the radius? You divide the diameter by 2. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So the radius is 4.5. I then plug in this formula, which is 4 times pi times 4.5 squared. And let's see what I get. 4 pi times 4.5 squared, and I get 254.47. And that is, let's see, units, inches squared. All right. This one's a little different. They tell us the surface area. Given that the surface area of the square is 138, find L, the slant height. And reminder, here is my formula for the surface area. And so let's just fill in what I have. So the formula says to find the surface area, you take your A, you square it, and then you take 2 times A times L. So let's see, what do I have? I know that the surface area is 138. So the surface area is 138. So let's change what we know. We know that's 138. Do I know my A? Yes. My A is 6. So my A is 6. So I can replace both A's with the 6. And let's see, what else? Do I know the slant height? No. I don't need the 4 at all. That's just there to trick me. And so I have all numbers in one variable. I can solve this. 138. 6 squared is 36. 2 times 6 is 12. From here we have an Algebra 1 question. I would subtract 36 from both sides. I'm going to minus 36. Get rid of that one. And now, let's see, 138 minus 136, that's easy, that's 102. And then to undo this, I would divide by 12. And so now I finally get my slant height. Whatever 102 divided by 12 is, that's 8.5. So I just found the slant height, the L is 8.5 feet. All right, down below we have multiple examples. I'll let you finish that part yourself. I think this is enough to get you started. Oh, I guess I did want to do a couple examples. So there's actually easier ways to find the surface area. The way I go about finding the surface area of a rectangular prism, here's how I do it. I do 6 times 4. So I would do 6 times 4. I would then, so I just multiply every side together because you have 6 times 4. And then I do 4 times 5. And then I took 6 times 4. I took 4 times 5. The only other combination I need to go for is 6 times 5. So I go 6 times 4, 4 times 5, 5 times 6. And I do the math and I add those together. So like 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 6 is 30. Essentially, I add those up. 24 plus 20 plus 30, multiply by 2, and I get 148. And the reason why I multiply by 2 is because, like in this case, 6 times 4, that's the bottom. We have 2 of those. 4 by 5, that's the right side. We have a right side and a left side. 5 by 6, let's see, that's the front. We have a front and we have a back. So once you add all these up, you just multiply by 2, and the surface area would be 148 centimeters squared.